Whispers of the Soul, a Shaman's Awakening. Prologue, the root of the dream. In the deepest hour before dawn, I dreamed. A great tree rose from the heart of the world. Its trunk was wider than mountains, its leaves shimmering with silver and emerald light. In its vast branches, thousands, millions of souls slept, curled like children. The tree wept golden sap that fell to the rivers and oceans below. Each tear carried a dream. Dreams of love, of flight, of songs never sung. A wind stirred. A voice, the voice older than the stones, spoke, Taita Inti Pachamama, spirits of water and wind, the children have forgotten, will you awaken them? I opened my mouth to answer, but the dream dissolved into mist. I woke on Red Earth Bluff, the stars above me like burning seeds, and I knew the time had come. Part 1, The Calling. Chapter 1, The Wind Speaks. The morning was a song of hawk cries and coyote laughter. I packed only what mattered, a pouch of sacred tobacco, a river stone given to me by my grandmother, a flute carved from bone. As I stood, a sudden gust whirled around me, and from it stepped the spirit grandfather, his eyes deep as twilight, his smile older than sorrow. You have heard, he said, his voice like water over stones. I have heard, I answered. He handed me a black feather. To walk the wind road, you must know its directions. He pointed. North, the land of ancestors and wisdom. South, the land of the child and renewal. East, the land of beginnings and fire. West, the land of death and dreaming. Which way do I go? I asked. He chuckled, the sound like ravens gossiping. All ways are the way. Choose not with fear, but with fire. I bowed low. When I rose, he was gone. Only the feather remained, quivering with life. Chapter 2, Trials of the Forest. The path into the forest was narrow and overgrown, a twisting artery leading into the earth's dreaming body. The trees closed in around me, whispering. Their bark was lined with ancient scars. Their roots writhed underfoot like sleeping serpents. As night fell, the air thickened with mist. I pressed on, torchlight flickering against the trees, until the way split into two, one path veiled in golden mist, the other in dark, churning shadows. A hoot broke the silence. From the boughs above, an owl stared down, eyes wide and burning silver. You seek awakening? The owl spoke, its voice a hollow drum. I do, I said, my heart hammering. Then choose, comfort or truth. I hesitated. The golden mist beckoned with warmth. The dark mist pulsed with unknown terror. Gritting my teeth, I stepped toward the darkness. The owl nodded approvingly and vanished in a flurry of feathers. The shadows swallowed me whole. Shapes loomed in the mist, grotesque, shifting forms, my old failures, my fears of rejection, the faces of those I had wronged. Turn back, they hissed. You are not enough. You will fail. I stumbled, almost believing them. A voice deep and sibilant wound its way through the gloom. Do not run. Do not fight. Witness. Before me, the ground split open, and a massive snake rose, scales of jade and obsidian. The snake stared into me with eyes like molten gold. You fear death, it said, but it is only change. Shed your old skin, dreamer. Walk on. Trembling, I placed my hand on the snake's head. Its skin was cool, alive, buzzing with power. A warmth flooded me, as if a second sun had risen inside my chest. The mist lifted. I stood alone under the stars once more, the forest silent and watching. Chapter 3, Council of Stones. The forest gave way to a wide clearing, ringed by colossal stones, each shaped like faces, ancient and eroded, yet unmistakably alive. As I entered, the stones shimmered and their mouths opened in unison. Child of the fleeting flesh, they intoned, why do you disturb our endless dreaming? I seek to awaken, I said, voice steady. The stone directly before me, its eyes deep wells of sorrow, leaned closer. To awaken you must remember. To remember you must forgive. Are you ready to forgive? I will try, I whispered. The stones hummed, the air vibrated. Before me visions appeared, scenes I had buried. A friend I had betrayed out of envy, a lover I had wounded with careless words, a child I had shamed when I was blind with pride. Tears streamed down my face. I am sorry, I said to each one. I see you. I honor you. I release you. The visions dissolved like mist under sun. The stones smiled. Or perhaps it was only the play of shadow. You have begun, they said, voices now soft as river foam. Go onward, seeker. Greater trials await. As I turned to leave, The largest stone whispered, "Remember, the path of awakening is walked barefoot, feeling every stone, every thorn, every blossom." Part 2. Crossing the Threshold. Chapter 4. The Cave of Mirrors. At the foot of the mountains lay the Cave of Mirrors. The mouth of it yawned wide, and a cold breath issued forth, smelling of damp stone and forgotten dreams. Torch in hand, I stepped inside. The walls were lined with thousands, no, millions of mirrors, each no bigger than a palm leaf. Each one reflected not just my face, but my many selves. The child who had once dreamed of flying. The teenager who had learned to hide behind smiles. The adult who had traded wonder for weary cynicism. Deeper within, a larger mirror loomed, towering and dark. In it I saw the shadow. It was me, but twisted, cruel, selfish, bitter. "You think you are pure?" the shadow sneered. "No," I said quietly. "You think you are strong?" "No." The shadow grinned, baring teeth. "Then why do you seek awakening?" I stepped closer, feeling the heat of its rage. "Because even broken wings remember the sky," I said. The shadow froze, its form shivered, cracked, and then it shattered, pieces flying into the mirrors around me. I collapsed to my knees, breathing hard. From the scattered fragments, a new reflection grew, a me that was whole, scarred, but radiant. "Taita Inti," I whispered. "Father, Son, guide my steps." Chapter 5. The River of Letting Go. Past the cave, a river wound through the canyon, a silver serpent beneath the stars. A wooden bridge spanned its rushing current. At the foot of the bridge a woman stood, her face hidden by a veil of crow feathers. "You cannot cross," she said, while still clinging to the old name. I frowned. "What is my old name?" She handed me a mirror of black obsidian. In it I saw 1,000 labels. Son, sinner, dreamer, coward, seeker. "You must give up all names," she said, "and walk naked into becoming." My heart rebelled. Who would I be without my name? My past? But the river sang a truth I could not deny. You are not your story. You are the storyteller. I set the mirror down on a stone. "I am," I said simply. The veiled woman smiled and stepped aside. I crossed the bridge, the river roaring like 1,000 ancestors below me. When I reached the other side, I was lighter than I had ever been. Part 3. The Fire of Remembering. Chapter 6. 3 Guardians of the Flame. The land beyond the river stretched wide and barren, a sea of red earth under a sky stained with the colours of sunset. In the distance, the silhouette of 3 figures stood, tall and imposing, their forms barely discernible against the horizon. I approached slowly, the wind biting my skin, and as I drew nearer I saw them clearly. 3 beings, each as ancient as time itself. Their eyes burned with the essence of the elements. The first was a woman, tall and proud, dressed in flowing robes that shimmered with the golden light of the sun. Her hands were outstretched, as if she held the weight of the world. The second was a man of immense stature, his skin deep brown like the earth beneath us, his body adorned with intricate patterns of tattoos. His eyes were deep pools of quiet wisdom, like the roots of trees that reach deep into the earth. The third was a creature of light and shadow, neither fully human nor fully animal, its form shifting between eagle and jaguar, its wings powerful but grounded. The third guardian held no words, but its presence was a storm, a tempest of energy that hummed with the pulse of the universe itself. "Welcome, child of light," the first spoke, her voice warm like the sun on a summer day. "You have come seeking the fire, but to carry it, you must first prove you are worthy of its warmth." I kneeled before them, my heart trembling. "I am ready," I said, though doubt flickered in my chest like a dying ember. The woman smiled. "You speak of readiness, but readiness is a matter of the heart. Tell me, child, do you understand love?" I swallowed, unsure how to answer. I have loved before, but I have also feared love. I have held back." She stepped closer, her eyes piercing through me. "Then it is Mune you must learn. The love that asks for nothing in return, the love that knows no bounds." She raised her hand, and a wave of golden light poured from her palms, wrapping around me. The air grew thick with warmth, and the ground beneath me pulsed with life. I felt my heart open, a flower blooming in the center of my chest, yet still the walls inside me remained. "Let it go," she whispered. The words cracked something inside. My hands, which had once clenched in fear, opened like petals reaching for the sun. In that moment I felt a love so pure it shattered every past wound. I understood now. Munai was the love that healed all, that gave without expectation. "Now you are ready," the woman said, stepping back. "But the next trial awaits." The second guardian, the man of the earth, stepped forward. His presence grounded me, as though the weight of the world was balanced in his being. His eyes, deep and dark as the soil, watched me closely. "Love is the fire, but work is the fuel," he rumbled. "Do you understand, Lankay, the sacred work?" I nodded, though I had never thought of work as sacred. It had always been a means to an end. The man reached into the earth and pulled up a handful of soil. It was rich and black, full of life. He pressed it into my hands, forcing me to hold it. "Work is the seed, child," he said, his voice like thunder. "And work is sacred. It is not for the reward, but for the service. If you are to carry the fire, you must know that all work is holy, whether it is ploughing the earth or weaving dreams or serving others." I closed my hands around the soil, feeling its coolness seep into my skin. A wave of understanding washed over me. My life had been spent chasing outcomes, rewards, recognition. I had not seen the work itself as the purpose. I knelt, placing the soil at the center of my chest. "Work is not burden," I whispered. "It is love in action." The man nodded approvingly. "You are learning. Now the third trial awaits." The third guardian stood silently, its form shifting between eagle and jaguar. It spoke no words, but I understood the challenge immediately. This trial was the most difficult, the test of wisdom. "Yachai," the guardian said, its voice a low growl. "Do you understand wisdom?" I stepped forward, heart racing. I had heard the word before, but it had always seemed distant, almost unattainable. Wisdom was something for the elders, for the wise ones of the tribe. "True wisdom," the guardian continued, "is not the accumulation of knowledge. It is the ability to listen to the world around you, to see the truth beneath the surface, to know when to act, when to speak, and when to remain silent." I felt the weight of its words, and as I did, the world around me shifted. The earth hummed beneath my feet, and the stars overhead seemed to pulse in rhythm with my heartbeat. In that moment, I understood that wisdom was not just knowing, but being one with all things, the trees, the animals, the sky. "You have given much to this world," the guardian said, its voice softening. "Now listen. Listen to the wind, to the trees, to the song of the earth. There you will find the wisdom you seek." I closed my eyes, and in the stillness I heard it, a song, ancient and eternal, rising from the very depths of the earth. It was the song of life, the song of the sun and moon, of every leaf that fell, of every river that ran. It was the pulse of the universe itself. I understood now. Wisdom was not a goal to be achieved, but a truth to be remembered. "You are ready," the guardian said, its voice fading as it dissolved into the shadows. Chapter 7. Descent into the Dream Lodge. After passing through the trials of the three guardians, I was led into the heart of the mountains, to the Dream Lodge. It was a sacred place, hidden deep in the earth, where the veil between worlds thinned. The walls were covered with intricate carvings, maps of the stars, stories of the ancestors, visions of creatures who had long since passed. An old woman sat in the center, her hair as white as snow and her skin wrinkled like the bark of an ancient tree. She was draped in robes made of woven light, and she smiled at me as I entered. "You have come to the Dream Lodge," she said, her voice soft as the wind. "Here you will find what you seek, but you must first remember your true name." I sat before her, puzzled. I thought I had already shed my old name. She chuckled, her eyes twinkling with ancient mischief. "Your true name is not a label. It is the essence of who you are, the song you were born to sing. It is the fire that burns inside you, the light that guides you home." I closed my eyes, listening to the hum of the earth beneath me. I could hear it now, the song of my soul, the melody that had always been there, waiting to be sung. As I stood, the old woman spoke once more. "Go, child of the earth, sing your song. The world needs you now." And with that, I rose, knowing my journey was only just beginning. Part 4, Becoming the Light. Chapter 8, Meeting the Hollow Ones. I had wandered for days, guided only by the stars and the pulse of the earth beneath my feet, until I reached a village nestled in a valley between two great mountains. It was quiet, too quiet. The air was thick with stillness, as if the land itself held its breath. I entered the village cautiously, my footsteps echoing in the empty streets. The houses were small, made of stone and wood, their doors ajar. I could hear the sound of a distant river, but not a single voice, not a whisper, not a sigh. As I moved deeper into the village, I saw the people. They were standing still in the center of the village square, their faces blank, their eyes empty. They moved like shadows, slow and deliberate, as though they were not truly alive. One by one, they turned to look at me, hollow eyes following my every move. I approached an old man who stood near a well, his hands trembling slightly as he stared into the empty space before him. His eyes met mine, but there was no recognition, no spark of life. "Why are you here?" I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. The man didn't speak. He simply lifted a hand and pointed toward the heart of the village. I followed his gaze. There, standing beneath a large oak tree, was a woman, her back to me, her face turned toward the horizon. Her hair was wild, tangled with twigs and leaves, and she seemed to glow with a soft, ethereal light. I approached her slowly, my heart racing with the urgency of something forgotten. "Who are you?" I asked. She turned to face me. Her eyes were dark pools of sorrow, but there was a flicker of something, a spark deep within them. "I was once like you," she said, her voice a melody of sadness and longing. "I once spoke the sacred words, the words that bring life. But now I have forgotten." She took a step closer. "The people here have forgotten their words. They no longer speak the language of the soul. They have lost the songs of the ancestors, the prayers that gave them life." I looked around at the hollow villagers, each of them like a ghost, their spirits fading into the nothingness of silence. "What happened to them?" I asked, my voice trembling. "They forgot that their words were magic," she replied. "They believed that language was only for communication, for mundane things. But the sacred words are not just for speaking, they are for creating. They are the breath of life itself. Without them, the soul withers." I felt the weight of her words sink deep into my bones. "How do I awaken them?" I asked. The woman smiled, though it was tinged with sorrow. "You cannot awaken them by speaking alone. You must first awaken yourself. You must remember the sacred language. Not just the words, but the heart behind them. You must speak with the fire that burns within you." I closed my eyes, feeling the warmth of the fire in my chest. "I understand," I whispered, "but I cannot do it alone." "You are never alone," she said, her voice like wind in the trees. "The words live within you, in every breath, in every beat of your heart. You must simply remember." I took a deep breath, grounding myself in the earth beneath me. The winds whispered through the trees, and I felt the ancient pulse of the land, the pulse of life itself. I raised my hands to the sky and began to chant, the sacred words flowing from my lips like a river of light. At first my voice was shaky, uncertain, but as I continued, I felt the power of the words grow stronger, filling me with warmth and strength. Slowly the villagers began to stir. The light in their eyes flickered, then blazed to life. They lifted their heads, their bodies straightened, and for the first time in many years they spoke. The words were clumsy at first, unsure, but as they repeated them, the magic of the language began to take root once more. The air vibrated with the power of the sacred words, and the village began to awaken. The old man smiled at me, his eyes now clear and full of life. "Thank you," he said, his voice soft but full of gratitude. The woman beneath the oak tree nodded. "You have done it," she said. "You have brought them back to life. You have remembered the words." I bowed my head in reverence. It was not me alone. The words live in all of us. We only need to listen. As the villagers gathered around, I felt the deep truth of her words resonate within me. The sacred words had always been within them, within me, within all of us. It was only a matter of remembering. And in that moment I understood. Language is not just a tool. It is a bridge between the visible and the invisible, the seen and the unseen. It is the breath of creation itself. Chapter 9. The Silent Village. The village had awakened, but there was more to do. The silence was no longer oppressive, it was peaceful. The people had rediscovered their voices, but they had also rediscovered the silence between the words, the space where the spirit dwells. As I wandered the village, I realized that true communication is not just about speaking, but about listening. The trees whispered, the river sang, the wind carried the voices of ancestors. And in the silence between, I heard the truth of it all. I came upon a child playing by the riverbank, a stone in their hand. The child looked up at me and smiled. "Are you a shaman?" the child asked. I knelt beside the child, my heart filled with warmth. "I am not just a shaman," I said. "I am a dreamer, just like you." The child laughed, their voice a bell of joy. "Then we are the same." And in that moment I knew that the awakening was not just for me or for the village. It was for the entire world. We are all dreamers. We are all creators. We are all the children of the earth. Chapter 10. Dance of Awakening. The village gathered that night under the full moon. The sky was clear, the stars burning like fireflies in the night. A great fire burned in the center of the square, its flames reaching toward the heavens. Around the fire the people danced, their bodies moving in a rhythm as old as time itself. The sound of drums echoed through the valley, and the air was thick with the energy of celebration. I stood at the edge of the circle, watching the people dance. Their movements were graceful, fluid, as if the earth itself was guiding them. It was a dance of remembrance, of awakening, of unity. The woman beneath the oak tree appeared beside me. She smiled as she watched the dance. "You have done it," she said, her voice full of pride. "You have awakened the village. You have brought them back to life." I smiled back. "We have done it together." The fire crackled, and the people sang their ancient songs. As I joined them in the circle, I felt the power of the dance, the power of the earth, the power of the sun, the power of the moon. This was the true awakening, not just the awakening of the individual, but the awakening of the community, the collective spirit. When one soul awakens, it awakens all. And as I danced, I felt the fire within me burn brighter, not just the fire of my own spirit, but the fire of all the spirits around me. We were one, and we were free. Epilogue. The root flowers. I returned to the dream of the golden tree. This time the branches were no longer still. The sleepers stirred, slowly but surely. Some awakened fully, their eyes wide with wonder. Others climbed higher, reaching for the stars. The wind whispered through the branches, carrying the voices of those who had awoken. The time had come, and as I watched the golden tree bloom, I knew that the work was far from over. There were still more souls to awaken, more trees to plant, more seeds to sow, but the fire of awakening had begun, and it would never be extinguished. The end and the beginning.